evening. This is Asian Review, and I'm your host, David Day. Our topic today is business going international. And to help us with this interesting subject is the Regional Director of the Pacific Region for the U.S. Commercial Service, who's with us here in the studio from California, Mr. Richard Swanson. And Richard, nice to have you with us here in Hawaii.
Thank you for having me, David, and it is a pleasure to be back on the Honolulu Island here.
This is not your first trip to Hawaii in working with the Commerce Department. It's what we call a senior official.
Yes, this is my outer post in my region. I represent the Pacific South region of the U.S. Department of Commerce, International Trade Administration, and Hawaii and the Pacific Islands outlie the farthest west point of my region. And I've been out here about 5 times on official business. And every time I enjoy explaining to my colleagues back in headquarters the important things that are going on out here. We are, the way I put it, is that we are the closest U.S. operation to the fastest growing region in the world, that being Asia, and it is vitally important to be out here. And I'm glad to be out here for the 5th time in the last 5 years.
Well, so it's wonderful, wonderful to have you, and we want to thank you for taking time out of your trip here to spend with us. Ladies and gentlemen, what we want to do today is in this topic of business going international is to use Richard's expertise and his background, and to help those of you who are entrepreneurs or have your own business or thinking about starting your own business, whether it's a startup, entrepreneurship, small business, or medium-sized business. What we thought we would do here at ThinkTech is to take the aspects of the U.S. Commercial Service that are out there to help those of you in the business community, whether we are talking to you on the U.S. mainland, whether you're located in Asia, or whether you're here in Hawaii or the Pacific Islands, and to see if we can get Richard to help you with some ideas on how you can take advantage of this incredible tool for international business. And as some of you have probably discovered, the idea of taking a business into a new international market can be an incredible challenge.
Absolutely.
You know, you've got problems with political policy in different countries, discrimination against foreign investors, challenges with corruption, financial issues, just getting the goods licensed over beyond the dock through customs. And if you're in a like so many in our Pacific region in the service industry, you got challenges with licensing and language and culture, communications, all those kinds of things. And so all of that, and I know that you know this because I'm preaching to your expertise, but
preaching to the choir here.
But I want our audience to understand that all of those, when they're packaged together, if you're a small business owner and you're just getting started, that looks like a giant wall, and we want to help you either get through or over the wall, depending on your definition. Yeah. So to start, Richard, let me ask you to talk to our audience a little bit about the big picture. What is it that the U.S. Commercial Service does?
Yeah. Well, the first thing I do is I pick the right person. And I have a director here, John Holman, who serves the Pacific Islands, and he is housed at the Foreign Trade Zone right here, FTZ number 9. And he is a great colleague and friend, and we have gone out on company visits today and seen a lot of great companies. We've met with a lot of our trade partners here, and that's just the beginning. And our mission is to help companies export their goods or services. And let me emphasize services. That's probably the fastest growing and one of the greatest assets that the Hawaiian Islands have in selling those products and services to the Asian or to the globe. And there's a lot of programs within the U.S. and Foreign Commercial Service that help you enter a market, help you stay in a market, help you succeed, whether it's lowering the market barriers, make sure your products can get into the market safely, soundly, financially. There's also legal ways to make sure we can enforce that we're playing on a fair playing field in the overseas market. And we have ways to promote your product or your service. We're moving into the online world. That's the way we're moving technology-wise. We're helping companies position themselves both on the ground and online. And it's real exciting. And I've got a great team here with John and all of our partners.
Terrific, terrific. Well, let's do this. Let's take a imaginary example, case study, if you will, and then we'll get to some live examples a little later in the program. But you know, for our audience, let's suppose, and this is the example I'm going to put to Richard. Let's suppose that you're a one-person business, and you've just started an idea with a new type of good or product, or it's a service of some kind.
Yeah.
And you have an interest in going into a market outside of Hawaii, and so we'll pick one like Indonesia as an example.
Okay.
Okay. We'll just pick one as it could be any country.
Not always the easiest.
Not
market,
always.
But,
Yeah.
but
Okay. Well, that's deliberate. You know, let's get
one of my favorite movies is
So yeah, I could have picked Canada or something, or Australia, but it's Indonesia,
Right.
And so you're sitting there now as a small business owner. It's just you're doing everything, and you're watching or you're listening to this program, and so the question goes to you, Richard. What do I do as an entrepreneur or a small business owner? How do I take this product or service into Indonesia? And I just heard that the U.S. Commercial Service can help me. So what do I do?
Okay. Well, first you watch the movie The Year of Your Living Dangerously with Mel Gibson. I'll get an idea of what Indonesia was. Metaphorically, learn about the past, learn about the future, learn about the presence, use commercial intelligence wisely. One of the best things we can offer companies who are looking into a foreign market is commercial intelligence. And I don't mean,
what does that mean?
That means information that helps you make better decisions. And it's timely information, and in many ways, it's primary research.
Okay, so how do I get that now?
Well, we have, for example, we have John Holman here in our district office. We have myself. It doesn't really matter where you're located today. We are always available through email. We do have Twitter, we have Facebook, we have our websites. We can be connected anytime, 24/7. We are doing commercial business around the world 24/7. So our folks in Indonesia and Jakarta, for example, are divided up into two areas. We have American commercial officers like yourself and me that maybe do a tour of duty for 2 to 3 or 4 years and then rotate out. But we have Foreign Service nationals, locally engaged staff that are there continuously learning about the market, walking the talk. They know their industries, they know the channels of distribution, and they know how to sell to the customers and to service the customers, and how to protect and promote your product or service in that market. It's important to first engage with our local office here. So for everyone in the world who is viewing this today or whatever, you can contact us by reaching out to export.gov any time of the day, any time of the night, and find somebody by just putting in your city and where you live, and we'll be contacted automatically. Okay, that's the first part.
Okay, so step one, you get a hold of the U.S. Commercial Service.
Contact us.
Okay, and then what happens?
And then we talk about, we engage with you immediately about what your level of sophistication is in terms of exporting your product or service. I mean, do you have a viable product? Do you have a viable service? Do you have the means to meet capacity needs?
So if I'm producing Kona coffee and my plan is, I want to I want to sell Kona coffee
in Indonesia, which has great coffee too. So you've got competition there.
So and your response would come back.
Well, I would say take a look at any commercial intelligence that we publish, and hopefully it's primary research that is firsthand and it's timely, and we gather that in the market.
How do I get that research?
Well, we have it published on export.gov. If you give us your name, your company information, and we know that you're a U.S. entity, we can provide that information to you. Usually it's free of charge. anything that involves customization, maybe a small user fee, not much at all, will customize firsthand information for you. It's almost like, I like to look at us, and I mean this in the most sincerest way, we're sort of like the Marines and the CIA all rolled into commerce. meaning we're the first in, we protect you, we'll stay there as long as we can for you, and we're not going to leave you behind. The CIA aspect of it is our intelligence for commercial matters is second to none. And it's great, it's affordable, it's for the startup company, it's disseminated on a level that you can understand, and folks like our district director here, John Holman, can distill and explain to you and understand how where it comes from.
Okay.
And that's going to help you make a right decision if that market is good enough for you. You're going to see how much is imported in that market of your product, of your coffee, where the distribution channels are. Is it a retail market? Is it a wholesale market? Is it an online market? Is Starbucks there? I mean, all these things that you need to know.
But what you're saying is I haven't left the chair in my office yet.
Yeah.
Right?
No, we've brought the market to you, and I think that's really the lesson learned here is when you begin, I don't think most small companies can really afford to get on a plane and fly to the market right away.
But Richard, that's the mistake that I see happening over and over and over again. You have an entrepreneur that has their own small business and they decide they want to go into a country like Indonesia, and next thing you do is I get this phone call and they've just come back from Jakarta or Bali or wherever, and they've got some ideas and they've got a whole bunch of business cards, and then what?
Yeah, well, we can vet those for you. This gets back to the commercial intelligence part of it. I mean, we have a program called the International Company Profile. That's sort of our version, our commercial version of a D&B report, Dun Bradstreet report, background on that company.
Okay.
So we have means to find out information. Now, these reports are also used by trade finance agencies and companies and banks to verify that you've got a good partner over there. So you do your commercial intelligence, you find out that there's a good market, there's good viability for a coffee product there, and then you find out that you've got some potentially good customers. You may have gone to, the coffee trade show of Indonesia.
Okay.
You may go back to the mainland and do a coffee trade show, or you may do the fancy food show in San Francisco and discover that there's a great channel in Indonesia, but it's going through Singapore. So you're beginning to make tiny footsteps into the market. You're coupling it with commercial intelligence you're gathering simultaneously, and then you're vetting the potential customers and clients and channels that you're receiving, and then you begin to make your first move.
Okay, so let's talk about the first move now. We've got all this intel, and that intel has been picked up as through the U.S. Commercial Service. I still haven't left my a smart move is if I haven't left my office yet. Be careful with spending money on airfare and hotels and stuff like that until you're ready. Now,
and trade shows too. Let me add, trade shows can be extremely beneficial. They can also be extremely costly. Be careful what you bargain for, because there's a vast array of markets out there to go to and visit. But let's vet what the type of trade show or the type of venue for you to visit and research and partner with before you go there. Do your homework before you go, and that's where we can help you the most.
All right, and we'll have more when we come back after the break. We're going to be talking about taking a business international and using the tools and services of the U.S. Commercial Service with Richard Swanson, the Regional Director of the Pacific region, from visiting here from California when we come back after the break. So stay with us.
I'm Bill Spencer, President of the Hawaii Venture Capital Association. We do monthly luncheon programs with ThinkTech about things that matter to Hawaii entrepreneurs, investors, and business service providers. So join us on the fourth Thursday of every month at the Plaza Club. For information about upcoming events or to join our mailing list, visit hvca.org. See you there.
We're back. This is Asia in Review, a ThinkTech global broadcast. I'm your host, David Day, and we're talking about business, going international, and our special guest in the studio is the Pacific Regional Director for the U.S. Commercial Service, Mr. Richard Swanson. And Richard, again, nice to have you with us here.
Thanks again, David.
And right before the break, you had a very powerful comment, I thought, about the wisdom and careful use of trade shows by small businesses. Is that because they're laying out a lot of money to do that?
Yes, and I see that a lot in our region. The Pacific South region covers Nevada, and if you know a little bit about Nevada, you know of a city called Las Vegas. And I commonly refer to it as the trade show mecca of the world, and it really is. There's more foreign visitors that go through Las Vegas and more trade shows per square foot than anywhere on the planet. And it's okay, it's great, because there's a lot of spin-off opportunities of companies coming through, back through Hawaii, back through California, back through Arizona, back through our region. Lots of good business, but it's a very costly and expensive proposition if you don't have the right pre-show preparation. And that's another area we can tap. Sometimes you don't even need to leave the United States in order to do international business, because the international business comes to you. We'll feed you the market intelligence, contacts. We'll help you vet companies abroad. You may even have a chance to meet companies.
Do you mean so no need for me to get on an airplane?
Well, you may
Maybe.
may have to get on an airplane and go back to the mainland.
All right.
I think that counts as maybe traveling, internationally. But even with that
I like
said,
to think of that as a second-rate movie and a poor meal away.
Okay, I know. If you got a tailwind, you're going to get there probably in 4.5 hours. Hopefully, it's not that long. But it's probably still safer and cheaper to travel back to the United States. I call this reverse marketing. Why would you have to leave the country, go to a foreign country per se initially, when the foreign market might be coming to you here at some trade show, or even coming through the market and having the potential of visiting the market? What
you're saying is that's a very efficient opportunity that many businesses blow because they haven't been wired into the U.S. Commercial Service.
That's it. That is the key. And remember, being the U.S. and Foreign Commercial Service, we don't come with our own advertising budget. We have to rely on word of mouth. We have to do a great job in servicing the company. We're about as close to the private sector as you get without getting into trouble.
Okay,
we are right there with you when you're doing the transaction. We're helping you with trade finance. We're helping you with logistics. We're helping you with legal matters, market barrier issues, all sorts of things. We step back, you actually do the transaction, you actually do the business, but we're right there trying to level the playing field all the way down the line.
Let's take this same example now. Let's say that as an entrepreneur, I have examined the trade show opportunity for my good or service. I've talked to John Holman and the U.S. Commercial Service hookup in whatever country and decided Indonesia and decided that the trade show opportunity either in Asia or on the U.S. mainland is not for me.
Okay.
And so I wanna start to do some kind of culling of potential partners, and that means I'm going to have to make a trip to wherever, in this case to Jakarta. So I arrive in Jakarta, and how can the U.S. Commercial Service help me from that point on?
Yeah. First, we're probably going to help you and greet you at the airport or do something where we meet you right away. We're probably going to give you a market briefing immediately. We're probably going to invite you into the U.S. Embassy, into the commercial section, which, by the way, let me explain something about working with the U.S. and Foreign Commercial Service. We are the field arm of the U.S. Department of Commerce. We're out in the U.S. field. We have markets here in Hawaii, California, New York. We also have markets in about 75 countries all over the world. And in Indonesia, for example, we're in Jakarta. We're in the U.S. Embassy. Now, the U.S. Embassy is basically operated by the State Department, not the Commerce Department. But other agencies are there, and we are the mission. and we are the United States in that country, in that embassy, or consulate for that matter.
Okay.
And the Commerce Department, we pay all our bills. We pay our commercial section staff ourselves. We hire them. We pay for our own truncated communications and telephone lines and everything. So we have our own operation there. We're independent in that sense. But we still need to report to the U.S. ambassador. The U.S. ambassador is definitely the CEO of the embassy and of our mission there.
Sure.
So we serve the U.S. ambassador, but we also serve the U.S. Department of Commerce and our staff here and in headquarters as well. So we have two lines, two chains of command here. And so we will give you the full services of the U.S. Embassy, not just of our commercial section. So if you have a matter regarding security, we're going to hook you up with the regional security office. If you have an economic matter, we're going to bring in the economic attaché. If you have a political issue, we're going to bring in the political attaché at the post. We're not going to just leave you in a commerce-only environment. You are going to, when you come off that plane, you're going to get the whole package that is offered there at the U.S. Embassy.
You know, Richard,
it's a team sport here. And we're all there to help every company that arrives.
You know, I think a question that a lot of people would like to know is, can your U.S. Commercial Service operation in Jakarta or other cities, can they help the business owner, me in this case, can you help me find some potential partners for my good or service?
Yeah. In addition to already vetting and already finding customers, a lot of folks think by going online, looking through a database, you can find potential customers. You can email them, you can call them even, and you can Skype with them now, right? If you can get them to agree to that, right? Sure. That's pretty modern, and that's fair to say. But in reality, nothing beats face-to-face, ultimately. When you've done your homework, when you've done your preparation, and when you're in the foreign market, at the time which you want to sell your products or services, we want you to be face-to-face. We will put together qualified appointments so that you are face-to-face with them, and you are equipped to the point where you have the best advantage possible to make the business deal happen.
Okay. Now, is there an advantage or a distinction between me going out and I find my 3 potential partners versus the 3, I'm just using 3 as an example, the 3 potential partners that come through your foreign service nationals in Jakarta? What's the difference in terms of reliability, likelihood of payment, those things? I mean,
like I said, I mean, not to be disingenuous at all, but I mean, our credibility is similar to that of the Marines and the CIA. Again, I go back to security and intelligence, and we are vetting the nationals that you're going to meet and be with far in advance prior to your trip. You're going to get a commercial intelligence report prior to coming to Jakarta, understanding who in fact that person is. We want you on an average, a cost-effective way is we basically say anywhere from 4 to 6 appointments in a day and a half or 2 days. We can help you line up. We feel comfortable with that sort of
I know
scenario.
that's a lot in Jakarta, but
well, you know, it's a big country.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a vast space. So with technology, sometimes you go to the Jakarta market, you may have a Skype or you may have a video conference or a DVC conference with somebody in a provincial rural area.
So by another city, yeah. Okay.
And I think you're going to find that with our intelligence being a full package from the U.S. Embassy, both economics, politics, security, everything being framed in a commercial way, you're going to be able to use that a lot more timely than if you don't go to the market. Going into the market prepared is the best way to execute the deal. Now, you may find yourself not wanting to do business with any of the people we line you up with.
Okay.
Or any of the people you meet.
Okay.
Is that bad?
No, it means that you've probably chopped the risk quite a bit.
We may have saved you some money too.
That's right.
We do try to avert risk. That is another goal of ours, is risk aversion. We don't want companies to set themselves up for failure and have their exposure be liable and to be on the hook for a lot of money, because once you ship things and it's not paid for and you do it on a handshake, you might be taking your chances in a foreign market. So we try to prevent that in advance and try to give you all the stability before you get there and while you're there in order to consummate the deal.
Let's say with this example that we're working with, Richard, let's say that I've used the U.S. Commercial Service, you helped me vet some partners, I've picked one, I've negotiated a deal, got a contract, we're working well together for a year or so, and then a problem comes up. Is there involvement at all by the U.S. Commercial Service in some sort of commercial challenge that comes up?
Yes. I'm glad you brought that up, because one of the best services we have is a service called advocacy. If we find that you're in a market, and we're not in a position where we've got four competitors that grow Kona coffee, for example, okay, who are all competing in the same market and they all have the same issue. And say it's a government tender gone wrong, okay? The government of Indonesia said, hey, we're going to buy 100 million kilos of green coffee, okay? All of a sudden, there's some issues with that tender, and 4 of the Kona coffee growers are complaining that there's been something wrong here, this is not fair. Then we have to put it into a group advocacy situation, okay, where we have the U.S. Ambassador or the United States Secretary of Commerce go to bat for you. And this is when we do a government-to-government relations on your behalf. And if you're the only company in the market, then we can switch gears and go to bat for just you. And that is the really fun part of doing business internationally, is when we have a company who is out there on their own trying to get business in a foreign market, and they get into a little particular situation and they need our help with the government or with another company. And so we can step in. We're not going to try to enforce the issue. We don't really have enforcement rights to pay our client, or will you stop doing what it is you're doing? But we can give them a nice call from the U.S. Embassy, and sometimes that kind of loosens things up a little bit.
Why?
Well, I don't think anybody in a foreign country likes to get a call from the U.S. Embassy saying we have an issue with commercial products or services trying to be sold or imported into your country, and you're not playing fairly, or our American company says that you're not paying them in time, or there's a legal issue afoot and we don't want to get into a legal battle here. We've always seen that it sort of greases the tracks a little bit to make a friendly little call and try to use our commercial diplomatic skills so we can get a good end result in terms of achieving the sale or the deal. And if that doesn't work, then we start bringing in the artillery. I mean, if it's not the U.S. ambassador, it could be the International Trade Administration Undersecretary, who has been here for APEC, by the way, and that's a great organization. And we were very fortunate here, not to digress, but you're very fortunate to have that conference here in Hawaii a few years ago. But things under those agreements and with those groups, nobody wants to not follow the rules in that sort of trade environment. And so Indonesia's part of these trade groups, whether it's ASEAN or whether it's APEC. We want a harmonious, level playing field. And that's what we strive for, and that's the goal.
Well, we've talked a lot in the first part of the show, Richard, about how the U.S. Commercial Service can help the small and medium-sized business. And when we come back after the break, what we want to do is maybe explore a little bit of some specific companies, things that are going on, talk a little bit about the perspective from the U.S. mainland of how Hawaii fared in this APEC conference. So, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back after the break. You're watching Asia in Review, a global broadcast from ThinkTech with our guest, Mr. Richard Swanson, the Regional Director of the U.S. Commercial Service from the U.S. mainland. Stay with us. We'll be back in a few minutes.
I'm Nicole Horry for ThinkTech. For nearly half a century, the Hawaii Foreign Trade Zone No. 9 has brought the benefits of the Foreign Trade Zone program to Hawaii businesses and entrepreneurs. DBET, the Department of Business, Economic Development, and Tourism, operates Hawaii's Foreign Trade Zone program to encourage international business and economic development. The Foreign Trade Zone's mission is to increase the amount of international trading activity in Hawaii, thereby providing employment opportunities for the residents of our island state, For more information, see ftz9.org. I'm Nicole Horry. Mahalo. Aloha.
We're back. This is ThinkTech's Global Broadcast, Asian Review, and I'm your host, David Day. Our special guest is Mr. Richard Swanson, the Regional Director of the U.S. Commercial Service based in Southern California and out here for one of his not often enough trips to the Hawaiian Islands.
Well, you know, it's like Hawaii is, as I said before, is sort of our closest commercial market to our fastest growing overseas market, Asia. And sometimes Washington, D.C., being 5,500 miles away from here and 3,000 miles away from me in Southern California, isn't always the easiest sell. Tell them to come out here to Hawaii.
Why is that?
You know,
is it because you and I don't have to wear coats and ties?
I'm wearing a Hawaiian shirt here. Not really. I think it's sort of that out of sight, out of mind concept, in that it's so far away, it's hard to visualize. And so what I've tried to work with John in our office here is presenting and telling our story out here in the Pacific Islands. The Hawaiian story, the Pacific Islands story is fantastic. It is robust. There are no more, I mean, nowhere on the planet do more Asians step foot on this soil. And that's important because we have the opportunity to do business with all these markets in Asia. And there are a lot of folks from the mainland and through Latin America and even Europe that come over here. It is a great focal point, a great gateway for the Asian market. And we need to tap that more. And we need to tell that story more. And there are some really good companies here that we've known for a long time and that we're getting to know every day that have a story to tell.
Well, before we get to those stories, let's take this comment that you just made, Richard, about the difficulties in Washington, the perception of Hawaii, and let me pick up on a comment you made about APEC right before the break.
Yeah.
What's the view of how Hawaii fared during APEC?
Oh, it's amazing.
Now, folks, remember that was what was that? Two years ago.
November of 2011. I think.
November of 2011,
yeah.
Right.
Almost 2 years ago.
2 years
Yeah.
ago. So coming up this November, the APEC meeting will be in Bali, I believe.
Yes.
Right?
Yes,
Vladivostok last year.
Mhm.
Bali. Okay.
It's significant. I mean, the Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation Group is up to maybe 22 countries now. It's probably the biggest trade group that we know of in Asia, probably one of the most important. I don't think it's any coincidence that the president came back here. He's from here. He supports what's going on here. This Asia Pacific, this APEC conference put Hawaii on the map in terms of trade. It gave a lot of spotlight to our operation here. Our director, John Holman, hosted a number of people from Washington, D.C. who had never been out here before. And I would like to go forward and expand on that and create some sort of Asia Pacific center out here.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, like I said, we are the closest focal point to Asia for the United States. You know, we need to establish a center here for promoting international business, utilizing all the resources, city, county, state, and federal. And if we can tie this together, and we can speak as one voice from this point, you're going to be having companies from the mainland clamor to be out here. If they start finding out how rich and how deep the expertise, the industry experience, the political awareness is here in the Pacific Islands, they're going to knock on your door to get some of that face time with Asia.
You know, that, so you're talking about kind of the development of a multi-spectrum Asia business, international business center for...
Bringing in this concept, and maybe your viewers might be interested in this, and maybe they won't, but you know, we're doing something to also save the taxpayer money. We are, for the first time in our 32-year history of the International Trade Administration, of which we are a unit, the U.S. and Foreign Commercial Service, we are merging with our Market Access and Compliance Unit. We're taking, and we're going to save roughly $8 million. We're consolidating
But what's this consolidation process, just to do it in a kind of a shorthand fashion, what's the bottom line of this vis-a-vis Hawaii is concerned?
Well, this is where I think our Asia-Pacific Center, Asia-Pacific Business Center, not sure what the name, John and I are going back and forth on what we should call it, and we need the input from organizations like the Hawaii Pacific Export Council and other organizations, is going to be a mixture of export development and export policy. And this is what our consolidation is all about. We're going to take our policy division in Washington, D.C. and marry it with our export development unit, our field unit. And we are going to go, it is going to be a 1-2 combo punch in the trade community. We're going to give a little jab with export promotion, and then we're going to knock you out with policy. And export promotion is the 0 to 5 year short-term plan that companies always have to do and have to continue to reinvent. Policy, export policy development is long-term. If we can knock down that barrier that allows companies like this to get into an Indonesian market, or a Kona coffee company get into the Indonesian market, lower the tariff, create a free trade agreement that has mutually beneficial opportunities, then we've seen long-term growth into that market, which ultimately our goal is to bring back revenue into the United States, into the Hawaiian Islands, and create jobs. That is the bottom line.
I got you. It sounds exciting. It sounds it's very exciting.
It is what it is, but it's today's world, and if you're not part of the global environment, in one way or another, whether it's your retail shop, putting in the Union Pay card machine so that the Chinese can easily swipe their credit card, and buy the things in your shop, or if it's oils of Aloha here, on Oahu, trying to export their macadamia oil products to Indonesia or Europe. It's an opportunity that will connect you to the world and bring jobs back here and revenue back here and sustain the future for our economy. And a good economy is good politics. Commercial diplomacy is the ultimate goal.
We're going to be going to a break shortly here, Richard, and I wanted to ask you, just kind of concluding this section of our show. In summary, what I hear you saying is the perception of how Hawaii did or fared during APEC was very positive.
Yes, I think that's just the tip of the iceberg. What I would like to see for Hawaii in the future is hosting maybe a Select USA investment conference. We're doing our first one coming up sometime in October back in Washington, D.C., and they're going to be looking for somewhere else to go next year. Why not Hawaii? Why not make it easier for the fastest growing foreign direct investment market that's in the United States coming from Asia, stop here first and learn about all the opportunities in the United States? I mean, we have the best showcase possibility right here. And that's one conference. There are many others that I think we could host here and promote to the world. It would just be really exciting.
This is Select USA.
This is Select USA. This is a major mandate in the Department of Commerce to promote good foreign direct investment into the United States that creates long-term sustaining jobs.
Awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Asia in Review with the special guest, Mr. Richard Swanson, the Director of the U.S. Commercial Service for the Pacific. And I'm your host, David Day. We'll be back after the break. And when we come back after the break, we're going to talk about a new Secretary of Commerce, but more importantly, because we'll have a very short time, we're going to talk about some specific Hawaii companies that and some international developments. These companies that are learning or about ready to jump over that barrier or that wall to doing international business. Yeah. Some have, and some are getting ready to. And so stay with us. We'll be back.
Great. Thanks, David.
Aloha, I'm Jay Fidel. This is ThinkTech Hawaii, broadcasting live from the Pioneer Plaza in downtown Honolulu. We raise public awareness about tech, energy, and globalism in Hawaii. Technology is critical to our state. A vibrant tech sector will give us new prospects in the global marketplace and will offer great careers and make our economy more resilient. Streaming live on Ustream and Spreaker, ThinkTech allows its hosts and guests invaluable opportunities to report important events and discuss important questions, and to be heard here in Hawaii and around the world. You can find links to our live streams on thinktechhawaii.com or on our mobile website, m.thinktechhawaii.com. And you can see our archive on YouTube. It's all just a click away. We want to do whatever we can to keep Hawaii relevant, connected, and thriving in the complexity of the 21st century. We hope you will help us in those efforts. Tune in today. This is ThinkTech. I'm Jay Fidel. Mahalo.
We're back. You're watching Asian Review. I'm your host, David Day, and our guest is Mr. Richard Swanson, Regional Director of the U.S. Commercial Service from Southern California. And Richard, nice to have you back.
Hey,
and thank you again for spending this time with us here. This is helpful and educational to me, but to our audience as well.
I don't think I'm a born teacher, but I do the best I can. And I think these are lifelong lessons to plug into the global economy.
Let me kind of move off to the side from our discussion a little bit, and let me just ask you for, because we only have a few minutes left in the show here. And the short answer to this is, we have a new Secretary of Commerce.
Yes, we
Who
do.
is she and what is she like?
Yeah, and the reason why it's exciting, I think, because it does have a connection to Hawaii here. She was selected, politically appointed, by President Obama, and her name is Penny Pritzker. She is the new Secretary of Commerce for the last month. I got to meet her on Tuesday in LA for a U.S.-Saudi business conference, and she is the most delightful, charming, but powerful woman that I have met in a long time in terms of what she's going to bring to the Secretary's role.
What do you mean by powerful?
Well, I think she has a lot of business experience. Remember, if you Google the Pritzker name, you're going to see the Pritzker Architectural Award, which comes from her family and their business. You'll also know that she is, her family is, they're the Hyatt Hotel.
Hyatt Hotels.
Yes, they are the folks behind the Hyatt Hotels. And
we have lots of Hyatt hotels here in Hawaii.
Another reason why we have to have a conference here in Hawaii. But she's exciting to the extent that I have not felt as excited about having a Secretary of Commerce like her as I did back when Ron Brown was our Secretary of Commerce back in the mid-90s and made the Commerce Department probably the #1 agenda item for the Clinton administration. And I think what the Obama administration is doing with appointing someone like her is making commerce again the top priority, because it's through commerce that you create jobs. And I think she's going to be a powerhouse. And I think she's going to promote and advocate for exports, for the exports of services. She's also going to invite you and invite foreign companies to invest in the United States. That's another one of her priorities. And remember, and this benefits Hawaii the most, I think. There's only been one travel, and there's only been one trade act in the last 20 years, okay? And it's been the Travel Act of America. And what that created was Brand USA. And that mandate is housed in the U.S. Department of Commerce to promote travel and tourism. And there's no better spot.
Which is huge for Hawaii.
There's no better spot in the world. I mean, travel and tourism is 30% of all service exports that come out of the United States. That's a lot of revenue. That's a lot of jobs. So I think she's going to promote travel and tourism. I think she's going to promote good foreign direct investment in the United States. And she's going to be a powerhouse leading trade missions and leading U.S. companies to do business in foreign markets with their products and services. I can't wait to work with her more. So hopefully we can get her here. And if we do, I'll be out here, and that's definite.
Great. Let's go back to the original premise that we set up in this program, where you have a small, medium-sized business. They're looking at doing business internationally, and they see this wall of all these challenges, different things that we've talked about. And Hawaii does a fair amount of agricultural exporting, as you know.
Yes.
So in your view, your perspective, what's something new that's coming over the horizon in the agricultural export field? Maybe they haven't broken through the international barrier yet, but what's something that's new and interesting that's coming along in that field?
Well, that's a great question. And getting back to our trade show discussion, there's some great trade shows in that field, in particular in our network, that are very accessible. Now, interestingly enough, today John and I visited Oils of Aloha here in Oahu. Great company, been around for 20-something years, started out in a little garage, selling macadamia nut, kukui nuts as jewelry.
That's jewelry.
If you can understand that. In fact, one of the items we picked up today in our company visit is one of the items that were originally sold. Is this little spinning top for kids?
A kukui nut spinning top.
So the founder, developed these and sold them, and the new owners picked up on this, but they turned it into oils of aloha. And what they have recently just obtained, which to me gets back to your question as to what new channels are developing in the agricultural market, it's organic products, it's nutritional supplements. And I think the distinction that Oils of Aloha becoming an organic company now, a certified organic company, they have about 7 or 8 products now that they can sell through the organic label, gives them another channel of distribution in a whole other world out there that they can visit.
In the organic field.
Yes. There's the Natural Products Expo West Show in Anaheim every year in March. There are trade shows all over the world popping up that help companies find markets in that channel, because there's people out there who want to buy organically grown, organically processed food.
We are almost out of time here, but let me ask you one final question, Richard. This Oils of Aloha company, successful over a couple of decades here.
Yes.
In their development internationally, has the U.S. Commercial Service been a partner of theirs helping them?
From the beginning. I mean, we just reminisced about the story of when Oils of Aloha started going international in 1991. What did they do? They used the Commercial Service Gold Key program, which is an appointment setting service in the foreign market. So we go back to
just what we were talking about
before. You go back to the foreign country after you've done your homework, and we set up 4 to 6 appointments for you. And who did they meet? Nestle Corporation of Switzerland. So for the last 22 years, they've been selling Oils of Olay to
Oils of Aloha.
Oils of Olay is also another product. To Nestle Corporation. It has been one of their biggest accounts, and we help them find that customer, vet that customer, make the introductions, and we continue to help them with that customer even today. And it's just one of those things that you think, once you enter and expand and sustain yourself in a foreign market, the rate of return on investment will just keep growing year. It's like compound interest on an investment. It just keeps growing year after year after year. And that's what's really good about this job, and really good about our team here in Hawaii. They'll make it happen. They'll keep it happening. And who knows what the next big, the next big deal is. It's just right around the corner.
Right around the corner. Richard, I really want to thank you again for spending time with us. I mean, this has been a both a remarkable and a fascinating program.
Helpful.
And ladies and gentlemen, you've been watching Asian Review, and we'll see you soon. Have a safe drive home.